Hello everyone and welcome back to Love English. I'm Sabrah, your British University English teacher. So English can be a tricky language because of course English is an amalgamation, so a combination of many language families. It's from Latin, Greek, the Germanic language family, and also we have some words from Scandinavian from where the Vikings came and invaded us. So we've got all these different words in our language. So sometimes things can get a little bit confusing, even for us native speakers. You would be surprised, guys, at the amount of native speakers who make mistakes with these 10 words that we're going to look at today. And I'll let you into a secret. Even us teachers, including me, get some of them wrong. So to get the most out of Love English, guys, do make sure that you subscribe, hit the notification bell so you get notified about any new lessons. And of course, you can follow us on our social media and our website link is below. Right, let's get going. So number one is en masse, en masse. And it's actually from French, en masse. And that is why the spelling is en. We have kept that from French. But people frequently mistake this, and because it sounds like on, you know, en, sounds extremely similar. Because it sounds like that and because this is English, we actually write it en masse. Now, en masse means in a large quantity. To go is a big group of people usually. So we might say people are going to the holiday sales en masse, meaning in large numbers, in big groups. Number two, oh my goodness, I got this wrong so many times when I was at school. It took me ages to get the difference. I don't know why, because actually it's quite simple. So basically, affect is usually a verb and effect is usually a noun. The meaning is very similar, but the pronunciation does differ a little, affect and effect. But of course, when we're speaking quickly, it's easy to mistake these and you might not realize which is which. They are both used when talking about the consequences, the results of certain actions. So we might say, for example, I think you're working too much in your job and that this might affect your studies, meaning that this might have an impact on your studies. So here it's the verb, it will affect. Yes, we're talking about the action. Or we could say, it really affects me to see homeless people sleeping on the streets during the winter. Now to change this to the noun, we could say it has an effect on me. An effect, here it is the noun. We might say, consider the effects of your actions. Number three is to be on tenterhooks. To be on tenterhooks. And basically this means to be waiting nervously, to be anxious about something. So we might say, I'm on tenterhooks, waiting for the results of my exams. It's actually a metaphorical phrase that comes from when we used to hang clothing on hooks on wooden frames. So I guess we imagined that if we were on those hooks, it was because we were feeling nervous, we were feeling anxious, that kind of thing. But people commonly mistake this for tenterhooks because again we say it quickly and that T can almost sound like a D. And the word tender can mean vulnerable, fragile. So people often associate feeling anxious with that and they write tenterhooks, but it's actually to be on tenterhooks. Number four, utmost. Utmost. This means most extreme or to the largest extent. So if someone says, I'm going to do my utmost to help you, they're saying, I'm going to do the maximum I can to assist you. Or they might say, this issue is of utmost importance, meaning it's very important, it's extremely important. However, for some reason, many native speakers confuse this and they actually write upmost or say upmost instead of utmost. This could be because it's confused with uppermost, which means elevated or high, like the uppermost flat in the building. Number five, these are very commonly confused homophones, which means they have the same pronunciation, but it's a completely different word. Bear and bear. Now, bear has several meanings, including to tolerate or to be able to stand something. Like, for example, I can't bear watching the news when it's depressing. This means I can't stand it. Bear with me, for example, means please have patience, please tolerate the waiting time. But the word bare, spelt B-A-R-E, actually means to undress or to show naked flesh. So for example, on some churches or religious buildings, you might see a sign that says you cannot enter the temple with bare arms and legs, meaning with exposed arms and legs. So it really means to undress or to expose. You might also see the expression she bared her soul, which would mean she revealed her soul. She was very open about how she was feeling. So it's reveal, undress, uncover. Number 6, again, these are homophones that are very commonly confused. Horde and hoard. Horde, spelt with the E on the end, is a noun and it means hordes of people, meaning big groups or big quantities of people. It's kind of a little bit negative about people. So if you say, oh, I'm not going into the city centre today, there'll be hordes of people. It means there'll be crowds of people. So often it's used in a negative way about large groups of people. We might say, let's go early so that we avoid the hordes. However, hoard, spelt like this, is actually a verb and a noun. And it means to store things. Often things which you want kept away, you don't want to part with. So we can actually describe somebody who can't let go of their belongings, who doesn't easily throw things away, which they really should throw away. We can actually describe them as a hoarder. My mother is a little bit like this. So people who keep their children's toys and their children's clothes, even though they're long grown up now, even though they're in their 30s, they still can't let go of that stuff. And there are cupboards just full of things. This is hoarding. This is to be a hoarder. We can also use it in the noun. We can say, she's got a hoard of secret presents in there. Do you know anyone who is a hoarder, or are you a hoarder yourself? Tell us about that in the comments below. Number 7 is principal and principal. Again, they are homophones. And principal, spelt with A-L, means a very important person, a lead role, someone in a high position. So we might say the principal actor in the play, and this would mean the most important actor. However, very commonly, principal is used to talk about the head of a school or the head of a college, the college principal, like a headmaster or a headmistress. But principal, spelt with L-E, actually means morals, moral standards. Things that you feel in your heart are like your moral guide. So you might say, I'd never cheat on somebody. It goes against my principles, meaning it goes against my moral standards. Number 8 is practice and practice. And boy, do these two cause problems. I sometimes still catch myself doing the wrong spelling, as it is such a small difference that it's hard to always remember. But basically, practice with a C is a noun and practice with an S is a verb. As far as I know, in American English, they do not make this distinction, but in British English, we certainly do, and it is considered bad grammar to get them wrong. So we might say, this is good practice, or she has a medical practice. Now this can mean a habit or a custom, or it can simply mean the practice of something, meaning the doing of something. For example, the practice of yoga or a religious practice. So let's look at the difference clearly here. I do daily yoga practice. This means I daily do the practice of yoga. So it's a noun here, like I do daily yoga exercise. But if we turn it into a verb, it would be I practice yoga daily. And there we would need to change that C to an S. Number 9, compliment and compliment, 2 more homophones. And basically compliment like this means to give praise to somebody. I think we're all probably familiar with this one. But compliment spelt like this, small difference again, means something that goes well with something, something that adds more to something else. It's basically 2 things that go very nicely together that enhance each other, if you like. So we might say, this cheese really brings out this wine. It really brings out the more plummy flavours. Or we might say, this blue colour here really complements that pale yellow. They really look good together in the kitchen. Number 10, the final one, again a very common one. Loose and lose. Loose and lose. So different pronunciation as well. One is longer than the other. Loose lose. Okay, so loose means free or not tight, the opposite of tight. Like my jumper is loose, means it's too big, it's not tight on me. Or my seatbelt is loose, again, it's not tight on me. We can also say that something is loose. For example, oh my goodness, she set the chickens loose, meaning she set them free. If we say something is on the loose, we mean it is free, it's got escaped, for example. However, lose has a completely different meaning. Lose means that you have misplaced something, you can't find it. For example, oh, I don't want to lose my wallet on holiday, or I've lost my wallet. Or it can also mean the opposite of win. For example, I don't want to lose in the race. Right, everybody, they were our 10 confusing words that even native speakers get wrong. Now, if you are a native speaker and you have been watching, I would really love to hear from you. Let's be honest, English can be tricky. Did you get any of these wrong? And of course, if you're a learner of English, you've got a very good excuse for getting them wrong. And you can try and use any of them in a sentence below to make sure you're getting them correctly. And tell me about any other words that you find confusing in English. I can always make another video on this. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and we'll see you soon on Love English. Bye bye.